Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we have some truly heartbreaking news to share. Rock legend Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at the age of 76. It's a loss that has touched the hearts of millions around the world, leaving behind a silence where his music once roared. In this video, we'll hear from Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's beloved wife and lifelong partner, as she opens up about her feelings and memories during this difficult time. Please stay with us as we honor his incredible life and legacy. Have you ever listened to a song by Ozzy Osbourne? If you have, drop a 1-inch the comments and tell us which track hit you the hardest. If not, just type 0 who knows. By the end of this video, you might find yourself becoming a fan. And don't forget to stick around till the end and hit that subscribe button to support the channel. It really keeps me inspired to bring you more meaningful stories like this one. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary Prince of Darkness, has passed away at the age of 76, leaving millions of fans around the world heartbroken. His loss isn't just the passing of a music icon, it's the loss of a man who helped so many face their own darkest moments. His powerful voice was more than just sound, it was the cry of a generation that often felt unseen and unheard. But the deepest sorrow belongs to Sharon, his devoted wife, the fierce, unshakable spirit who stood by him through it all. She mourns not only the legend who ruled the stage, but the man who once held her hand in the dark and promised never to let go. Ozzy's concerts were always wild and unpredictable, less like performances and more like raw, emotional confessions. The infamous bat-biting moment in 1982 wasn't a planned stunt, but a glimpse into who Ozzy really was. Impulsive, surreal, and completely unfiltered. With blood running down his chin, he kept on singing, leaving the crowd in absolute shock and awe. For Ozzy, the stage wasn't just a place to perform, it was where he came alive, where he fought, endured, and proved he could survive anything. In every metal riff that screams through the air, in every outcast who finds comfort in a raw, guttural lyric, in every soul that chooses to rise again, that's Ozzy's legacy. That's the spirit that can never die. When the news broke that morning, it didn't spread like just another headline, it hit like an earthquake, shaking the hearts of millions who had once screamed his name in crowded arenas or whispered his lyrics alone in the dark. Ozzy Osbourne was gone. He sang through pain, through trauma, through addiction, and through the heavy weight of depression. His breakdowns happened backstage, not under the lights. He refused to cancel shows, even after spinal surgery, even as Parkinson's slowly began to steal his strength in his later years. When asked why he didn't stop, he quietly said, "I owe it to them," and he meant it. Ozzy wasn't performing for his fans, he was surviving alongside them. Still, he kept showing up not because of contracts or obligations, but because he felt he owed it to the fans who had stood by him through every fall, every relapse, and every comeback. His final act of defiance wasn't a massive world tour, but something far more personal, the haunting honesty of vulnerability. In the final chapter of his public life, Ozzy released Patient Number 9, a project born not from ambition, but from sheer determination and pain. Every lyric felt like a goodbye. At 40, after nearly losing his life to alcohol poisoning and multiple overdoses, Ozzy rose again, not as the Prince of Darkness, but as its survivor. His solo career only grew stronger, powering through the 90 seconds with anthems like No More Tears and the creation of Ozzfest in 1996, a haven for young misfits who saw their own pain and resilience mirrored in him. In the turbulent history of rock, no voice ever cried out as deeply as Ozzy Osbourne's. Behind every scream was a wounded heart and a silent fight to survive. For years, the world misunderstood him. He wasn't trying to shock anyone, he was simply trying to endure. Born into poverty in Birmingham, arrested and mocked, Ozzy clawed his way through every obstacle like a man climbing out of darkness. He didn't have the looks, and he never had formal training, but he had something no one else could match, a raw, unstoppable presence. These weren't just the final years of a rock star, they were the closing chapters of a man who had poured every ounce of his soul into his music, his pain, and the people who saw their own struggles reflected in him. By the time he reached 70, Ozzy's body had become a battlefield. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2003, though he didn't reveal it publicly until 2020, he faced a slow, relentless decline. Each step grew heavier, each breath harder to take. He endured multiple spinal surgeries, constant nerve pain, and would often collapse backstage after giving everything he had left under the lights. He was more than just a musical icon, he was a symbol of resilience and raw authenticity in a world built on spectacle. His legacy burns on like an eternal flame, shining brightly in the hearts of his fans and forever carved into the history of rock. And though the world now says goodbye, Ozzy's voice will never fade. It will keep echoing through time, reminding us that to truly live is to be real, to be fearless, and to never stop being yourself. In private, the battle was even harder. Ozzy once told Sharon he often felt like a ghost trapped inside his own body, watching the world move on without him. Yet every morning, she said, he still found a reason, no matter how small, to keep going. Sometimes it was a fan letter, sometimes it was a riff that came to him in a dream, and sometimes it was just the sound of Kelly's laughter drifting in from the next room. Ozzy never tried to rewrite his past. In his final interviews, he spoke with raw honesty about his regrets, the people he'd hurt, the years lost to addiction, and the kind of father he wished he'd been. Every note carried the weight of a man singing against the silence that waited for him. "I'm not afraid of dying," he once said in an interview. "I'm more afraid of not being remembered." The album was recorded during a time when he could barely stand. Friends and collaborators recalled moments in the studio when he sang sitting down, gripping the microphone stand like it was his lifeline. There were times he couldn't finish a take without breaking into tears, one producer remembered. And still he sang. He kept going because, for Ozzy, music was never just a performance, it was an exorcism. On July 5th, during what would become his final public appearance, Ozzy stepped onto a stage in Birmingham. He didn't sing, he couldn't, but he stood there, trembling yet defiant, gazing out at a sea of fans chanting his name. His eyes shimmered with tears, as if they were saying the words his voice no longer could. "Thank you. I'm still here." That moment wasn't a concert, it was a farewell disguised as a wave. For Ozzy, it was more than just a gesture. It was the fulfillment of a final wish he had carried quietly through his decline, to stand before his fans one last time and look them in the eye. It was never about fame or legacy. It was about gratitude, about giving every last piece of himself, fully and honestly, even as his body began to give out. As Sharon later shared, he wanted to say goodbye in his own way, and he did. That final appearance brought him peace. When he came home from Birmingham, exhausted but calm, he told his son Jack, "You did what you needed to do." In those moments, there was no regret, only a quiet sense of fulfillment. For a man whose life had been defined by chaos, that brief silence, surrounded by love and admiration, became his closure. He had given his fans everything, and in return, they gave him the strength to keep going until the very end. Old concert footage has begun resurfacing on YouTube. A 1,983 performance of Bark at the Moon has gone viral, along with a 1,992 interview where Ozzy confessed, "I made mistakes, but music always saved me." Tens of thousands of fans have flooded the comments section, some sharing their favorite memories, others revealing how Ozzy's music carried them through divorce, depression, addiction, even moments when they almost gave up on life. One comment reads, "Ozzy didn't just sing about the darkness, he lived it and showed us the way out." "I wasn't always good," he once admitted, "but I always tried to come back better. And I came back." And he did again and again until his body could no longer keep up with his spirit. As the days grew shorter and the hospital visits more frequent, his family gathered close, spending nearly every moment by his side. Jack, Kelly, and Amy took turns reading him letters from fans, many saying his music had saved their lives. And Sharon never left him. She was the last voice he heard each night, whispering words only the two of them would ever know. He gave until there was nothing left, until even the screams went silent. Looking back, every growl, every unsteady step, every haunting note was more than a performance. It was a plea, a prayer, and a promise that even if you were broken, addicted, or lost in your own darkness, you still deserved to be heard, to be seen, and to be loved. And that's what made Ozzy immortal. He didn't just sing above the noise, he became the voice for those who couldn't scream loud enough. There's a kind of heartache that words can't capture, a pain too deep for sound to carry. When Ozzy Osbourne passed, it wasn't just the loss of a musician, it was the extinguishing of a flame that had warmed millions through their darkest hours. His suffering became our solace. His brokenness gave us permission to feel whole. And though he left in silence, the echoes of his life still roar. How did you first discover Ozzy Osbourne? If it was through the reality show The Osbournes, drop a 2 inches the comments. If you've been a fan since his Black Sabbath days, leave a 5. Every number tells a story. Let's share them to honor the music legend we all love. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories that celebrate the lives behind the music. And in that absence, the world answered not with silence, but with a roar, an outpouring of grief, gratitude, and reverence that crossed continents and generations. In Birmingham, where it all began, fans gathered beneath an Ozzy mural in Digbeth, leaving black roses, vinyl records, and handwritten letters. Some lit candles, others blasted Black Sabbath songs from portable speakers, their tears mingling with the rain. One note taped to the wall said simply, "You taught me how to survive." Across the Atlantic, in Los Angeles, crowds gathered around his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Some knelt in full metal gear, others in business suits, each one representing a different chapter of Ozzy's legacy. One man held a faded concert ticket from 1982. A woman clutched a framed photo of herself with Ozzy from an old autograph signing, whispering through tears, "He saw me. He really saw me." And in doing so, he became something no amount of training, fame, or fortune could ever create. He became real. It feels cruel, almost unbearable, that such a voice has now fallen silent. Yet in that silence, we're reminded that Ozzy Osbourne didn't just survive the darkness, he showed millions how to walk through it and come out stronger. In the final years of his life, as the spotlight slowly faded and his once mighty voice softened to a whisper, the world witnessed a transformation more profound than any encore could ever be. Social media has become a tapestry of remembrance. Artists across every genre, from heavy metal to hip-hop, have shared their tributes. Metallica's James Hetfield wrote, "Ozzy was the rock we all built on." Post Malone, who once collaborated with him on Take What You Want, simply wrote, "The honor is mine. Rest in peace, legend." Iron Maiden, Foo Fighters, and members of Judas Priest all released statements honoring the man who helped shape generations of music. Sharon Osbourne responded by posting a black and white photo of Ozzy backstage, his head bowed, hands clasped as if in prayer. Her caption read, "He gave you everything, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt." Around the world, fans held spontaneous listening sessions in parks, bars, churches, and alleyways, anywhere they could gather, and turn the music up just a little louder than usual. In Tokyo, hundreds stood in silence at Yoyogi Park, holding candles. In Berlin, a local church rang its bells 13 times, once for every Black Sabbath studio album with Ozzy at the helm. At the family's home in Los Angeles, a growing sea of tributes stretched down the street: flowers, flags, paintings, tattoo sketches, even broken guitars. Each one carried the weight of what Ozzy meant to someone. Overnight, a local artist painted a massive mural on the pavement with the words, "He screamed so we could be heard." For Sharon, the outpouring of love became a strange kind of salvation. Every note, every flower, every small gesture she later confided to a close friend, it felt like the world was holding him with me. Though she remained silent in public, those close to Sharon said she spent long nights reading fan letters, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, always holding a photo of the two of them from 1979, the year they first fell in love. Jack, Kelly, and Amy Osbourne also shared short but deeply moving tributes. Jack wrote, "He was more than just my dad. He was the loudest, kindest soul I've ever known." Kelly posted a photo of Ozzy cradling her as a baby with the caption, "Dad made the dark beautiful. I'll carry that with me forever." From Sao Paulo to Stockholm, radio stations paused their regular programming to play non-stop Ozzy marathons. For hours, the airwaves carried his voice raw, defiant, eternal. Streaming platforms saw an astonishing surge, with Spotify and Apple Music reporting that plays of Ozzy's solo work and Black Sabbath's catalog skyrocketed more than 900% in just 12 hours. War Pigs, Dreamer, No More Tears, they weren't just songs anymore. They had become requiems, tributes, and final goodbyes. Generations of fans, from teenagers alone in dimly lit bedrooms to battle-scarred survivors of life, found in Ozzy something they couldn't find anywhere else. Permission to be imperfect, to be loud, to be broken, and still be worthy of love. His legacy isn't just carved into platinum records, it's written in the hearts of those who fought their own demons with his voice leading them through the dark. Bands like Ghost, Slipknot, Avenged Sevenfold, Bring Me the Horizon, and countless others have hailed Ozzy as so much more than an influence. Across the industry, tributes have moved swiftly to honor the man who changed rock forever. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced a retrospective exhibition titled Eternal Prince: The Legacy of Ozzy Osbourne. Both the BBC and ITV have scheduled special tribute programs, while early plans are underway for a monumental memorial concert at Wembley Stadium, with live feeds being discussed for Los Angeles and Sao Paulo. In Birmingham, the city that raised him, officials have proposed renaming a street or square in his honor. Meanwhile, a petition to knight him posthumously has already surpassed 500,000 signatures in less than 2 days, a testament to just how deeply Ozzy's spirit endures. Sharon's mission became not just to preserve what Ozzy gave the world, but to protect who he truly was when the cameras were off and the noise faded. Her strength didn't come from hiding her pain, it came from transforming it into purpose. He didn't want a statue, she once said. He just wanted someone to tell him the damn truth. And the truth is this: Ozzy Osbourne was never perfect. He was a wounded warrior, a conflicted volcano, a burning soul who refused to be tamed. And Sharon loved every broken, brilliant, beautiful piece of him.